What's going on, guys? Eternal Wind here, and today we are going to cover my favorite samurai build for Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which is the Wrath of Sarugami Perfect Parry build. Now, let me just start by saying I have done tons and tons of testing trying to maximize not only the damage but the efficiency of how this build works. And after about 5 hours of testing with multiple different combinations of items, properties, and perks, this is my go-to. Right there, you see my sword is the Wrath of Sarugami. Now, perfect parry. As you can see, I have, the perfect parry window uh, on the sword. Now, through my testing, I tried it with none. And for my skill level, I was very inconsistent. I've tried it with two versions um, of Perfect Parry Window, and I just felt like the damage wasn't quite there. So after playing for quite a while with just the one, I now feel not only comfortable but confident in just having one Perfect Parry Window. Um, Going from none to even just one perfect parry window is huge in how effective you'll be at perfect parrying. If you struggle even with one, you can do two. I think the maximum you can get is three, but your damage is going to be crippled the more and more perfect parry you put on there. Generally, you lose melee damage, and that's obviously something that I did not want to do. So as you can see, I have perfect parry window and counter damage. Now, counter damage, not only does it work with perfect parry, it also works with perfect dodge. So if you happen to perfect dodge anything um, and then attack afterwards, you're going to get those bonuses. So as you can see, I have perfect parry window, counter damage, and intimidating counter. Now, intimidating counter is absolutely amazing, but as of this video, it's still bugged. There are going to be times where it just doesn't do the damage that it should on the enemy that you strike when it procs. Um, but it makes the coolest sound and has a nice effect to it. Um, and just does a nice chunk of damage, especially if you can get it to proc all three times once you've perfect parried. And I combine this with Water Master. Now, again, I've done tons of testing. I think Burning Blade is a great alternative to Water Master. The reason why is because when Intimidating Counter procs, if any of the enemies nearby the enemy that you're striking are hit by it, it can activate Burning Blade on them, meaning that enemies that you are not actively striking can be set on fire. As you can see, I have Fire Master on my charm, so that can be a nice alternative. But again, with the testing that I've done, the most consistent amount of damage, because Burning Blade is random, I go with Water Master. And I'll explain why I also run Water Master when we get into the techniques. Um, Ranged weapon. Now, you're probably like, what the hell, Eternal? The Weightless Spirit? But this is after the buff, and the buff was massive for this weapon. Um, I absolutely love it. I know it seems strange to use it over the Forbidden Medicine, and you can use the Forbidden Medicine for trial and chapter skips. I still am able to swap those out, like if I want to farm trials and it's chapter 3. But when you use reload cancel with the Weightless Spirit, you can build resolve just as fast and never lose ammo like you would with the Forbidden Medicine. You can definitely use it if you hate bows in this game or you just like it better than the Weightless Spirit, but this is my preferred version. Um, I go for range damage and reload speed. Again, reload speed is there for reload canceling to get your ultimate as quickly as possible. And I'm doing something weird with the ultimate as well, so I'll get to that in a minute. Um, and then helmet piercing ammo and headshot refund works wonders with reload canceling. I do like shield piercing ammo. Like if you drop a smoke and you try to reload cancel in there, and there are Onis with shields, they can be troublesome to try to get those headshots. So you can run that if you're more comfortable with it, because there actually aren't a ton of enemies in this game on Nightmare that are actually wearing helmets. There are a few, but not a ton. So you can run that if you'd like. Again, this is just my preferred version. Now for the charm, I tried to make the Sarugami's glare work. Injo's remorse. Again, I've done tons of testing, and I I don't like the inconsistencies with the Sarugami's glare, and not to mention you cannot get counter or melee damage on the Sarugami's glare, and I feel like that is a huge mistake by Sucker Punch. If I could have gotten melee and counter damage on it, I more than likely would have run that with Fire Master and Leeching Parry, but you lose a lot of damage by going that route. Like I tried staggered damage because it does stagger them, Oni damage and ultimate damage, and this build that you're seeing on screen now is just is far superior. And again, I run it with melee and counter damage. Also, as you can see, I'm a madman, and even my epics are perfect. This is not necessary. It's just a preferred thing that I like to do. So I ran Blessed Strikes and Fire Master on there. I like Leeching Parry, especially for the EO fight, because I do run this when I fight EO. But when you get good enough with parries, you don't really need to worry about trying to heal through that fight. And because of our techniques and Blessed Strikes, we're going to heal plenty. So I'm adding an additional uh, thing of damage through Fire Master through that perk. And we'll explain why when I get into the techniques. And also, it'll help with the fire arrows through the Weightless Spirit. And if I swap it out for the Forbidden Medicine, the Black Powder Bombs, it'll help those as well. So now I have Kunai. When I first made this build, I had a nice God Roll Dirt Throw, which nobody used for obvious reasons. And I used it until I got a perfect Epic Kunai. It's far superior. Supermassive and Hidden Blades is ridiculous. Uh, I suppose you could go Ghost Weapon damage if you wanted, but this is a full melee build, which is why I'm running the Kunai with melee damage on it and then cooldown on kill, because you're actually going to do a surprising amount of damage with these, and it just helps to have something else in your arsenal aside from your bow and your sword, depending on the situation. But it's definitely my preferred Ghost Weapon 1 for this build. And then finally, the OG meta at this point, with all the with all the buffs and nerfs that they've done with the last couple of patches, Smoke Bomb is just meta. And the main reason why is munitions, especially with the way that they've taken the ammo stations out of the survival stages. It's just amazing. You could run stealth attack damage instead of cooldown reduction, but because you're not running a Spirit Kunai, which again you could if you wanted to, uh, but again, my preferred build, I get as much cooldown reduction as I can, and then I run it with Lucky. So, as you can tell, we've got counter damage maxed out at 40%, and then we've got 2 stacks of melee damage for a total of 64% when we counter. Uh, the ultimate is not the best, which is why when we visit our techniques, I run Hachiman's Rage. The one thing I don't like about Hachiman's Frenzy is after the 5th attack, there is a ton of downtime, which you will not get by using Hachiman's Rage. You can pop it, completely destroy any of the Oni Lords in 2 shots. You don't even have to use Raging Flame. It will kill them, so do not worry. Uh, I used to use the 5 strikes to clear out like these little guys on the screen, as you can tell, little crappy Mongols that die in 1 hit for cooldown reduction, and or rather cooldown reduction on kill purposes. But after running Hachiman's Rage, I've never looked back. I love the fact that when you do it, the second hit, you're done, you're back into the fight. As you can tell there, compared to what happens on the screen when you end Hachiman's Frenzy, there is some downtime in between that last 5th strike. Uh, in which case, you can still parry and block, but you can't roll right away, and you can't strike right away, which you can with Hachiman's Rage. So, Fire Master. They've nerfed this skill brutally, but rightfully so. It is still by far the strongest class ability for the samurai, even with its cooldown being increased to 50 seconds. Which, again, if you wanted to negate that and not run a weightless spirit and just not worry about ranged at all, you could use a spirit kunai to get it back faster. But this is why I run Fire Master. Even with the increased base cooldown and the quote unquote lack of damage and spread that they claim has happened, it has. However, it still does a colossal amount of damage. It doesn't spread as much as it used to, but it is still incredible, and you can activate it after performing a perfect parry to get 3 strikes with increased damage if you want. You don't have to. It is not necessary, but it's something that you can do. And then also, I'll pop it before I ultimate um, if I need to heal, because you will go from literally 1 HP to full life off of a Hachiman's Rage. Even though it's only 2 strikes, you'll go from 1 HP to max in 2 hits. And then if you happen to get hit while you have it active, after that, bless strikes. You're going to get your HP back. It's a very tanky build. It is a slower and less damaging build than your ult spam. But I think if you're going to ult spam on any character, do it on the hunter. It's far superior than the samurai. But I run Raging Flame, and then on this slot, I, I, I don't know why they do this. There's a couple different ones where they have stuff that increases stats on the perks for the techniques, but the percentages are less than perfect rolls. So like melee maxes out at 12%, right? This is only 10. The Ronin has one for staggered damage that maxes out at 20%, but it's only 15%. I think that's really dumb. I don't like that decision by Sucker Punch, especially when you can now equip a legendary instead. Why would I go 10%, which isn't even a perfect roll, when I can equip an additional legendary? So that's what I do here. And then because this is a perfect parry counter build, we're running Healing Strike. The cool thing about this is your intimidating counter. If it kills any low HP guys near your initial target, it will heal you, but there is a bug still currently in the game, even after they were supposed to have fixed it, to where sometimes it won't proc. So unfortunately, it is random, but when you're attacking 3 times, the likelihood of killing anything nearby that isn't an Oni Lord is going to be very high, so you will heal at some point. Um, so that's why I still run Blessed Strikes with Raging Flame, even with the increased cooldown, because I can still heal through this. And you don't have to just sit and wait uh, to parry and counter. You can use your Surging Strikes through the Wrath of Sarugami with Watermaster, which again I said I would come back to, which I am right now. With Raging Flame, it's the best way to spread the fire. Those strikes are very quick, uh, and the Watermaster will increase its damage, and then the Raging Flame will also increase its damage, and then you'll have Fire Master on top of that. So your Surging Strikes with this active is going to do a ton of damage, and it's going to heal you, but you can block at any time to perform a parry while using Surging Strikes. Doesn't have to be with Raging Flame, but you can be doing a Surging Strike combo and then immediately perfect parry somebody and go into your combo. So you don't have to just sit there and wait. It's not a full defensive build. You can be very offensive with this build, which is what I do. Um, if there are enemies afar, I'll snipe them with the Weightless Spirit because it doesn't have to drop anymore, and because it shoots as fast as it does, it's kind of like having a mini assault rifle with its buffs. And it does do a lot of damage. You can two-shot Disciples, one-shot most of these scrubby Mongols with the Weightless Spirit. And because we have all this melee and counter damage, you'll one-shot most scrubby Mongols, two-shot most of everything else, and then you can still three-shot, sometimes even two-shot the bigger Onis with the hammers. But that is going to conclude this build on the Sarugami Perfect Parry Samurai, which is by far my favorite way to play it. And stay tuned. I will be releasing videos for my favorite Hunter, Ronin, and Assassin build as well. And we'll end with the appearance. I do like the new elegant ghost mask that you can get with Ghost Flowers in New Game Plus. Nobody seems to run this helmet, and I think it looks good with this outfit because I love the new Master Sarugami armor. I like that it has a cape, and it just looks really good. I like green, and there's not a lot of great outfits in this game that utilize the color green. But the helmet goes really well with it, and if you know what the helmet looks like for the Sarugami, it's trash. Look at this thing. It is hideous, an atrocity. What is that beetle on the back of his head? So yeah, I run the Oni Black version of the Uncle's helmet. So with Sarugami armor, and then I run Mashira's Bite. Mashira. Uh, I think it looks really good with it. The handle is also green, hilt. And then for emotes, I use Sumo Stomp on every character because of how it glitches things. You can also do the point as well, and I believe a few other ones, but I think this is a more used one for glitching through doors and stuff like that. And then because of the multiple color combination I have on him, I just run rainbow. I'm trying not to use fireflies on every single character. It just looks so good and sounds amazing. So for this character, I run rainbow. But that's going to be it, guys. I appreciate it. Uh, if you would be so kind as to like the video, subscribe for future Ghost of Tsushima Legends builds and content, and comment. If you have anything that you would like to suggest or any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks. Have a good one.